Good morning, everybody. Yep, another one of those mornings. Oh, love them, love them. Hey, you know what's really cool about this morning, which is Monday morning? It's something that happened yesterday that I can't remember happening for years. Do you know what it is? Now, some of you are going to say, I could care less, and some of you are going to say, that's awesome. All the Rust Belt City football teams won their game on the same day. Buffalo, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Detroit. I can't remember that happening forever. So it's kind of cool. So the whole Rust Belt, we're mighty happy this morning. That's if you're a football fan. And if not, well, let's get right to the Bible, okay? Our Old Testament lessons that we have in the Common Lectionary for next Sunday are a little bit different. They have some themes that cross over. We're going to look at the first one this morning real quick, and that's Isaiah, the 5th chapter, the first 7 verses. Now, the thing to remember about Isaiah is there were 3 different prophets that went by that name and whose works were collected into the one big book, Isaiah. We're in the first part, the very first part. And this Isaiah, he is talking to the people of Judah, that's down south, the 2 tribes down that way, Jerusalem, and giving his prophecy. And this is before the people had been carried off into exile. And he's telling them, things aren't too hunky-dory here. We got to get our act together, or it's going to be lights out real soon, which is exactly what happened. But this is how he starts his prophecy. He's singing a song. He's singing as he's going into the temple. And it's kind of neat. It could have been during one of the high holy times when during these festivals, people would go marching up the hill into the temple area, and they'd be singing and dancing and stuff like that. And this is the song that he sings. Let me sing for my beloved my love song concerning my vineyard. My beloved had a vineyard on a very fertile hill. He dug it and cleared it of stones and planted it with vines. He built a watchtower in the midst of it and hewed out of it a wine vat, and he expected it to yield grapes. Wow, kind of a cool song. He's singing. Now, when he says my beloved, those are pretty intimate terms that the prophet is using. So he's singing to his beloved a song. And here's the other thing that happens. It goes downhill real fast from there, because now he asked the people to join in as jury because something bad has happened and somebody's going on trial. He asks all the inhabitants of Jerusalem and the people of Judah to listen and judge what has happened, what has gone on. All of a sudden, all the Rust Belt cities winning isn't such a great thing. Not for these people, because Isaiah is spelling out for them doom and gloom. Judge between me and my vineyard, says the prophet. What more was there to do for my vineyard that I have not done for it already? When I expected it to yield grapes, why did it yield wild grapes? In other words, useless grapes. And he has done everything to make this vineyard perfect. Vineyard is code word for Israel. Israel, Judah, the United Kingdom. At this point, the kingdom was divided. You had Israel and the 10 tribes to the north, Judah to the south, and just 2 of the tribes. Judah was more powerful. Up north, Israel is going to get wiped out. Shortly, Judah is going to get the same treatment. Now, what is he exactly complaining about? Well, first of all, what's really neat, I say neat, it's because this is so poetic about this vineyard song that the prophet is giving is that it's all sing-song in the Hebrew. All the words rhyme, and so it just flows along, ding dong, ding dong. It's going so nice and so smooth. Then all of a sudden, bam! It's like you're run over by a bull. You're run over by a train. I mean, you're just hit, and the wind is knocked out of you because judgment has been decreed upon you. God's going to come in and he's going to rip down the wall, the fence that kept everything inside of the vineyard safe from predation and from strangers coming in and ruining it. All that's going to be gone, and before you know it, it's going to be absolute ruin. All of a sudden, our nice happy day has turned rather sad. There is a lot of wordplay that's going on, and probably the most important is toward the end when the prophet says Yahweh, God, expected justice and instead saw bloodshed. Bloodshed against who? Against their own people. Expected justice, but here's the wordplay. Mishpah, instead of seeing that, he saw bloodshed. Mishpah. So mishpat versus mishpah. And expected righteousness, tzedakah, but instead heard a cry. Tzedakah. Tzedakah, tzedakah. Two different words. Bit of a wordplay going on there. And extreme judgment upon the people. Now, our reading for Sunday only goes through verse 7. If you were to read on, you're going to see one of the very first instances where this is kind of unusual, kind of strange, but I'm going to say it. The prophet said all those people violating God's rules, God's love, are going to face his judgment. And this is what he says. They're going straight to hell. Whoa, that can't be in the Bible. That is in the Bible. All the way down, verse 14. Therefore, Sheol has enlarged its appetite and opened its mouth beyond measure. Sheol, this big pit. You'll see it often translated pit as well. This pit where the dead are going. They are going to die. Oh yeah, you're going to say, we're all going to die. No. This is a death that marks separation from God and his love. Way to go, Pastor Rod. Way to start off our beautiful Monday morning, this week that we're looking forward to, where there's going to be cooler temperatures, maybe a little bit of rain, but the leaves that we see in the background are probably going to really start turning their colors. Thanks for ruining that. You're welcome. Well, the whole reason we have to talk about it is we have to talk about it because it talks not only about their life as community, it talks about ours as well, and how we need to be careful about what we do, what we say, how we live our lives in this thing called the kingdom of God. It makes a difference, not just for others, but for us as well. Well, stay tuned. We have a lot more to say about this week, especially when we get to the gospel lesson, because Jesus comes down just as harsh on his contemporaries, because it is all about obeying the commands of God. God's blessings be with you. Cheer up. Enjoy the sunny day. And we will see the good news that is found not only in what Jesus has to say, but also in what Isaiah had to say as well. Blessings be with you.